Hey guys, what's up? It's Daniel. Welcome to another Danky review. Today we're talking about Asura's Wrath. A very unique game, to say the least, that involves a very unique style of gameplay. But before we get into that, let's start off. Asura's Wrath is available on PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, and it is a action slash beat 'em up game developed by CyberConnect 2 and published by Capcom. So, really, what could be said about Asura's Wrath? Well, for one, it could be pronounced in many different ways. The name Asura, you first look like Asura, and then you get told it's Asura, but I think the actual pronunciation is Asura. Asura's Wrath. Doesn't matter, but everyone's been saying it differently. But anyways, Asura's Wrath. Okay, let's get right into it. I really want to get this thing reviewed, you know. First off, let's start off with the visual appearance. Now, the game is kind of meant to look like an anime, and it does very well. The graphic style is very unique. You can tell that Capcom has been behind it because it feels very Capcom-ish, if you know what I mean, especially with their latest games, with Street Fighter 4 and Super Street Fighter 4, that sort of thing. The color design, the art style, it's very reminiscent of those games. And you can tell, which isn't a bad thing. I'm saying it looks good, and I don't watch anime. I'm not an anime guy. I'm sorry, but people tell me this is very much like an anime in the way they make the style of game, because it is split into 3 different acts. You have Act 1, 2, and 3, and after each act there's credits and everything. And I was questioning. I'm like, why are there credits right now? I mean, there are credits in like each and every episode you play. I believe there's a total of 18 episodes with a 19th hidden episode that you have to unlock. And anyways, they make it like you're watching an anime show, which I didn't really understand at first. I'm like, why is there credits in each one? It's like you're watching a new episode of that anime series each time. But the story and plot gets developed over the entire course of it. But that's not what that's not really what we're talking about here. In terms of the graphical style, it looks really good. I liked how it looked. Fair enough. How do I feel about the control scheme? Controls are very well rounded. Not a whole lot poor can be said about it. I did like how you could really just jump in. The controls are simple. Like, you have basically, when you do actually get into... Okay, let me explain here. Okay, that kind of includes gameplay, but there's 2 different styles of gameplay this game has. And one style is basically the beat 'em up style, which you're in the middle of a bunch of enemies, you just gotta go nuts. And usually you'll tap circle or B a bunch of times for your basic mash and dash and smash or whatever. And then you have a power combo, which you hit triangle or Y, and that will create a heavy attack, which you have to charge up eventually. And you also have dash attacks where you jump and dive, very basic stuff. But the meat and bones of it, which I'm going to tie in with the gameplay, I'm going to bring that up right now. The gameplay of it is very unique, to say the least. I'm going to say that. It's not like any typical beat 'em up action game you've played, because it's dominantly, I'm saying dominantly, this game is probably, well, maybe like a 60-40 comparison of quick time events. There are a ton of quick time events in this game, which is what made me originally want to do this game in the first place, because I love games that put quick time events in, because it's like you're in control of a movie. You know what I mean? It's a movie you're watching with a big cinematic, and you're in control of whether or not the character succeeds or not. Now, with this game, you could miss them, and it won't affect the story. So you could just sit back like you're watching an anime and just enjoy it, and you won't miss it. It'll just affect your rating at the end of that episode. Or you could participate and try to get a higher score, which I did, and I actually got really good at the quick time events. I would get the excellent every time. And another thing about the gameplay, you've got the beat 'em up aspect, you got the quick time events. You also have these like random stages where you're flying through the air or whatever, you're diving and you're shooting people like with missiles. Your character has missiles. Asura has missiles in him, and you can do like a quick power attack, or you can do like a rapid fire attack, excuse me, or you can do a power attack where it targets the enemy and it sends a bunch of heavier armed missiles automatically with a heat seeker, if you will. So that's something that was really cool. The gameplay was definitely unique in this game, and I was really impressed with it. How do I feel about the story? Very interesting storyline. You probably won't find a story like this anywhere else. I'm going to use the word again, unique. The storyline is very unique, and I bet you anywhere, unless you're a huge fan of anime, I don't know, this is coming from somebody who doesn't watch anime. If you're a huge fan of anime, you might correct me on this, but I probably doubt you'll see storylines similar to this one anywhere else. At least from what I've seen. In a video game, let's put it that way. In a video game, I doubt you'll find this. Okay, before I jump into that, the storyline, I'm referring to the storyline. Now this game, I don't really know if this is a negative or not. I kind of want to say it is. I know people are probably going to hate me, but we'll just say, okay, like I said, storyline is extremely unique. I'm not going to go into details on it because that's not the point of the review. You're supposed to find out the game for yourself, or you can watch the playthrough of mine, whatever you prefer. And, yeah. So anyway, the storyline was really good and entertaining. I loved it. I thought it was really unique. Here's the kind of thing. It felt like, it kind of looked very, very similar to God of War. That was what really, really, made me think. I'm not saying I don't really know what to put that. I don't really think it's a bad thing that it looks like God of War, because when you think about it, the idea is a dominant quick time event when you are shooting the boss from afar or whatever. That's what God of War is. God of War is dominantly boss fights with individual things in between, fighting minions or whatever in between, where, although each level ends in a gigantic boss fight, like, over the top. Similar with this one. The gods are not necessarily like the ones in God of War, but they're very similar because they're both a god fighting other gods, and that's what you're doing in this game. So the idea seemed kind of similar. I don't really want to say it's negative, but it kind of is. Like, it's nothing new. So I want to say the idea isn't new. That's going to be it. The negative is the idea isn't new. So don't hate me for that, but it is good nonetheless. It like takes the idea and morphs it to its own thing, which is something I really liked about it. So I'm not saying it's totally bad that it did that, but we've seen this idea before in God of War, in games like God of War, and this game is like God of War, so it's unfortunate there. Now, let's get to another thing. This game is a single-player only game, meaning there's no multiplayer, there's no co-op. All you have is a single-player story that you can play over and over again on various levels. The single-player story took me about 6 hours, I think. Now, I didn't die all that often. I did on occasion, but this is one of the games that I didn't die that much on. And a lot of you are probably like, whoa, no way. True. This game took me 24 parts to do the single-player story, and therefore about 6 hours. That, to me, is subpar for length. To me, an average length story mode is 8 hours. That's it. However, there are average length story modes with 8-hour single players as well as co-op. This thing only has single player, meaning they focus their entire length, or their entire focus, I should just say, on the single player. And you can give us a 6-hour campaign that I pretty much beat in one day. Well, 6 hours. That's not really acceptable nowadays. I've said this before. Those type of games need to be extended, especially if you're only playing in a single player focused story. Now apparently there's going to be DLC coming out for this thing later. I might look into that, I don't know. I want to hear what they're for. Obviously it's probably going to extend a level, or maybe a new little mini story or something. I don't know, we'll have to find out. But as it stands, this game is not long enough, and I'm putting that as a negative. It's not long enough. It's like, it's too short, especially when you're focusing on single player. Now, I would like to point out that, like I said before, there was a bonus stage, meaning there was a true ending that you could get. I didn't get it, because, and I was aware of it at the end of the game, I was very much aware of it. I was actually attempting to do it. I was attempting to get the extra ending. However, you don't just get the extra ending, you have to earn it. And in doing so, you have to get an S ranking on 5 or more challenges, or just play 50 episodes. So play each one 50 times, or not each one, sorry, any of them 50 times on any difficulty to get the hidden ending. Now, considering there are 18 chapters, I've played all 18, and then I went back on a day off, on like an evening where I was doing nothing, and I just went into a couple of extra missions, and I didn't do anything special, but I put it on the easiest difficulty because I wanted to get the 5 S's, because I had 2 S rankings already, but I wanted to get 5. But every time I did, I'd screw up somehow, and it would just be me doing this over and over. Maybe it had something to do with my skill level. I don't really care. but I didn't want to spend all my time doing it, so therefore I didn't get the true ending. I would have wanted to see it, and I would have liked to extend the playthrough for you guys, but by doing that extra episode, but unfortunately, it just didn't seem like it was in the cards, and I didn't really want to go too crazy with it. So even then, it wouldn't have extended it that much, maybe 20 minutes if that, 15 to 20 minutes longer than this. So that would be 6.5, but still not 7 hours. So the game length doesn't change. So another fact is, because it's so short, I'm going to tie this in with that as a negative. Because it's so short, and there's no, there's not, all you got is single player. That's a huge thing. There's nothing else to do other than single player. So there's no multiplayer. You're limited with what you can do. So therefore, I'm going to say, yeah, so there's no multiplayer, there's nothing extra to do. I like to say it's a negative. As well, the replay value is limited. There's not a whole lot of replay value. There's nothing that really makes you say, I want to go back and collect this, I want to go back and do this. There really isn't. The only thing that you can do and go back is change the difficulty. Maybe go for some trophies or achievements, but other than that, there's nothing really you can go back and get. You don't get rewarded anything extra. Like I said, you could just coast through this game and get the D rankings or the C rankings or whatever the lowest rank is, and you still get the same experience as someone who got all the S rankings, you know what I mean? So the replay value is very limited, and there's not a whole lot extra to do. So when you think about that, that's about the extent of it. So when we look back, I don't know if there's anything else I want to add to that, but you've got the unique graphics design, the really simplistic controls making it easy. You have the really entertaining storyline, as well as the that's what I put down, I think. The storyline. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to remember because I don't have anything written down here. So, but on the negative, you got things like the campaign was short. There's no extra multiplayer or any other modes. There's no extra replay value. There's very limited things you can do. But I did like it. Yet there were things like I said, I'm probably not going to touch this game again. I can guarantee you that. I mean, I like the gameplay. I like the story. But there's just nothing left to do for me here. I mean, it was a nice addition. Probably something that's more of a rental than anything else. If you live in Canada, you can't rent games anymore because Blockbuster got shut down. There's like nothing you can rent games anymore. So pretty much you are hooped, and you might as well just leave it as is. So, would you recommend it? Would I recommend it? If you like an anime style, a good story mode, however short it is, but you like that kind of thing, and you like to repeat that sort of thing over and over, trying to change your scores, this is a good game for you. However, if you just want to play through a story and then maybe go back and do extra modes and something else, you don't want to just keep doing the story mode over and over, this game isn't for you. So with that retrospect and that idea, I like the game. It's really solid for me. I think it was really good and entertaining. A good few hours of gameplay. However, it's good, but it's not all that good because of that replay value. I mean, what am I going to do with this game now? I could attempt to get the extra ending, but I'm so busy I can't do that. And I don't really want to be spending doing the same story modes, having to skip the cutscenes, It just takes forever, So I'm giving Asura's Wrath a 7 out of 10. Because of that, it is a good game, don't get me wrong. That 7 is an average. Actually, an average is more like a 5. So it's above average. It's a decent game. It's really good. But all the hype and the fact that it's based around single player, and they have a short single player campaign and nothing else to do except for replaying that single player campaign, trying to change your scores and maybe go for some trophies or achievements. Not enough to make it anything higher than the 7. Anything lower would just be an insult to the game because the graphic design, the control scheme, the whole quick time events, I love that. The whole story, the character of Asura and all the gods, it's just awesome. I loved it. But sorry, nothing more than 7. So 7 out of 10 is what I'm giving Asura's Wrath. I think it's very fair. It makes a lot of sense. So let me know what you guys think of this. Hope it helped you make a decision. Hope you enjoyed the playthrough, of course. If you didn't, go ahead and watch it. But if you see, you saw this review first and you don't know what to make of it, I do recommend at least watching a few parts if you don't want to watch the whole thing. Just get an idea of what you're dealing with here. And that way, or watch the demo footage too. The demo footage is a great way to see if you're interested or not. So thanks everybody for watching this episode of the Dan Q review for Asura's Wrath. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks everybody again, and I'll see you guys next time.